All right, so I got referred to this guy, Scott, a long time ago. And Scott came in. Scott was 42. Wife was 42, and they had young twins. I think they were like 2 and 2 or something. Banker, 85 grand. Flight attendant, 60 grand. Household income, 145. Mortgage, they had a 15-year mortgage. They had a couple of car loans. Does this sound like people you know? Everybody, right? So here's my model. All right, so he's got this house for $375. Got a 15-year note against it. Owes about $175. He's got Roth and 401k. At the time he was doing 14, got a $3,000 match. She was doing 6 no match, and they were putting $3,000 each into a Roth. And he had the proverbial $250,000 of group insurance, and she had 0. And they got these 2 kids here in this house. A couple of car payments, a couple of credit card payments. Very standard stuff. I see this day after day after day. So I meet him, and he's very skeptical. He comes in, he goes, Paul, he says, I'm a banker, and I have no idea what you know about money that I don't know, but Scott, his golf pro, said, let's go see him. So he agreed to meet with me, and I sat down. And that thing that I put up here that was called financial success, most of that came from him. Wanted to put his kids through school, have a second home, join a country club, drive nice cars, take vacations. And I did this. He says, his first question was, are we putting too much money into 2 places? I said, well, here's the good news. You're savers. You're doing a great job saving. You've actually got numbers here, which is good. Most people don't. That's great. It's just where you're putting it that might be a little suspect, but let's talk about that. What do you really want? He said, I want a second home. That was his hot button. He wanted it either in Florida or Arizona. I said, that's between you and your wife. He said, here's the deal. We got this 15-year mortgage. So when I'm 42 today, when I'm 57, I take the payment on this house and put it on the second home and only have one payment, own one house free, and going to have the second house. And all I said to him was, Scott, if you could buy that second house today, would you want to? He says, well, I can't. I said, if you could, would you want to? He goes, well, yeah, because I said, where are you looking? He goes, well, I'm kind of looking down Desert Mountain in Arizona. I said, what are the prices? He said, like 300 grand. I said, what's the rate of appreciation on Desert Mountain real estate? And here's what he told me. He said, 20%. I said, okay, I understand that today. Let me cut that in half and just call it 10. Well, if you take $300,000, apply a 10% appreciation rate over 15 years, you get $1.25 million. Just math. And I said, what assurances have you got that in 15 years you can afford to pay that for a house down there? And his answer was interesting. He said, I sure hope I can. And I said, is hope a valid financial strategy? He said, no. So I said, can I have a week or 2 to look at this and come back with a plan? He says, yeah, that's why I'm here. Here's what that looked like. Number 1, we did a refi. 15-year back to a 30. We mortgaged $240,000 after closing costs, paying off the $175,000. He had his hands on $60,000, and his mortgage payment was identical. No change in the payment because it went from a 15 to a 30 on a bigger note. But I piled $60,000 in front of him, gave him a higher interest deduction, reduced his tax bill, and said, I got 17, 23, $26,000 of his money. The 3 is the match. I said, Scott, with $60,000 in cash and $26,000 of investable dollars, could you buy a property in Arizona for $300,000? And he said, yes, I sure could. And he did. He went down Thanksgiving that year, and they found a 3065 in a community called Anthem in Arizona, just off of the west slope of Desert Mountain. 3065, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, gated community, golf course, and 2 of those infinite line pools with cabanas. And he bought his house at 42. With money that was going to places that he didn't want. He wanted real estate, and he was doing what everybody's doing. Now, this is going to get a little messy, okay? This is the fun part. This was the easy part. Refi, cash flow, done. House, 3065, right here. He comes back from the trip with this big legal glossy folder from the Anthem, whatever it is. He comes into my office and he goes like this and kind of splashes in front of me. And he goes, You know what that is? I said, what? He goes, that's my second home in Arizona. I said, no, it's not. It's your 401k and you're going to go live in it now. He's like, oh, I never thought of that. And you're going to live in your 401k. And that, instead of a statement in your file cabinet, there's bricks and mortar in Arizona. And your wife's a flight attendant, for Pete's sakes. Good, have a good time, right? So they take the property, because they're 42 and have to work 48 to 50 weeks out of the year, and they throw it into an LLC. Rent it out. From October 1 to about March 31st, if you live somewhere north of Kansas, what might you pay to rent a nice home in Anthem, Arizona, weekly, nightly, monthly?
Now?
Because it sucks where you live in the wintertime and it doesn't in Arizona.
There you go.
A lot. They were able to get about $36,000 a year in rent in 6 months out of this property. Of course, they couldn't do that in the summertime. But so here's what I got. The payment on the house, this new house, was $18,000, $1,500 a month out of 26. So I've got $8,000 left over plus 36. I've got $42,000 that we didn't used to have to do something else with. We immediately retired these 2 car payments, which are about $600-700 a month between them. That's $10,000. So we're at $52,000. And we own a house today versus 15 years from now. So here's what I told them to do, and this is what we did. I'm going to use red because it seems to be standing off and looking good. We took all this cash flow, and we did a couple of things. We started by going like this, and we put an emergency fund together. 2 houses, one far away. We need $6, $8, $10, $12, $15,000 right now on a check in cash. He didn't have that, he does now. I took about $24,000. I put 18 here and 6 here. It got Scott $1.5 million. It got her $750,000 of death benefit. This isn't the term kind of junk that doesn't work. It's the permanent stuff that builds value. And it's all being funded by somebody else. So his benefits are being paid for by another family, other families, so that when this comes down here, it ends up in this box, which is called cash value, which is tax protected and all this great stuff, which with these 2 girls, over time will be a big number, and we'll use it to come down here and buy more real estate to pay for school. So we got college funding built into the strategy. We've got protection built in. We've got cash. Eventually, we didn't need this anymore because we got it here. We don't need to have money earning 0.1%. We got money here earning 5 or 6. We got the home. We got college. We've paid off debt. And then he says, well, what about when I turn 75? I said, great. What about that? He said, I'm going to have a couple pieces of real estate. You'll probably both worth $1 million at the time. I said, okay. What do I do? I said, well, here's one of your options. Because of this, you could say, where are you going to live? He goes, Arizona. I said, okay, so you take this $1 million house, and rather than market it, haggle, fight, scratch, claw, over price, fees, yada, 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 you take this house and you donate it. You give it to a charitable remainder trust, a CRT. He goes, what the heck's that? I said, well, here's what that is. Where'd it go? I'll find it. You can take highly appreciated, low basis assets like real estate, stocks, whatever you got, and my hands are a mess. Where did I put those out? Oh, here. Okay, sorry. And give the house away. No marketing time, no taxes, no fuss, no muss. And who's ever heard of Hillsdale College? In Michigan? Hillsdale? They only exist on grants, donations, gifts, and tuition from kids. No federal money whatsoever. And in doing so, don't have to teach the curriculum they're told to teach. They can teach the curriculum they want to teach. There's 2 colleges like this in the country. This is one of them. Well, this little blue chart here says that if you make a donation to them when you're 75, whatever the donation was, $1 million, they'll pay you an annuity figure of 8.62%. That's $86,200 a year for the rest of your life. What were those withdrawal rates I was talking about earlier over here? 2 and 3? 8.62. It's taxable, but it's 8.62.
And not until you're 75.
No, sooner, but I'm just using that as my example. That was kind of, If you make the donation later in life, when you're 85, it's 12 and a quarter. Problem is, you haven't got many years left to live. You might not enjoy that as much, so you do it sooner. But dispose of the property, no tax, no commissions, with all due respect to you guys in the audience. 86 to an income for life. When you die, they stop the income, keep the property, and down to charity. Fine. But here's what happened. The girls now, 55 and 55 go, Mom, Dad, you just got rid of $1 million worth of the estate that was probably headed our way. And Scott says, honey, 33 years ago, a guy talked us into this. The $1.5 million is now $3.5 million. The $750 is now $2 million. Rather than the building, would you and your sister be okay getting $5.5 million handed to you tax-free? Oh, yeah. That'd be okay. Sis, you okay with that? Yeah, that's good. Death benefit. Mortality is certain. Liened or collateralized against an insurance company's billions of dollars to fall out of the sky tax-free, who you deem they should go to? Okay. Got rid of the house, got income for he and his wife. Now, when you do this, this is a tax-exempt organization. They can't go, oh, good, we get a big deduction. They get that already, 100%. So what they do is they say, hey, you donated $1 million piece of property to us. Had you sold that through normal means, you'd probably paid a couple $100,000 in taxes, right? 20%? So there's $200,000 in tax that's just out there in limbo that they bank for you. So you go down here to your 401k and you make a $50,000 withdrawal in a 40% tax bracket. You're going to pay $20,000 in taxes to get your hands on 30, and you go, oh, wait a minute. I got $200,000 in taxes to obliterate that, and you get your income out of your qualified plan as though it were tax-free, $50,000, against the donation you made to the charity, and you got the replacement tool built in that doesn't disinherit your kids. He's just like, he looked at me like, can I do this? I said, you're doing this? Can you take that and this, go to Arizona and buy a house? He went, yeah, and he did. So they enjoy that property today. They keep a couple weeks of it for themselves, right in the dead of winter, fly down there for nothing on per ticket, and go hang out for 2 weeks at their place. The other thing he gets to do is he'll get a hold of a bunch. He's a banker. So he's in charge of raising funds for guys to develop strip malls and whatnot. He'll get 5 or 6 of his developers and go, hey guys, sketch out a week in January. Let's go to my place in Arizona and hang out and smoke cigars, drink beer, play golf, play cards. That's a pretty good sales call. It's all deductible to him. Notice all the motion and the arrows and the movement here. Remember I talked about that earlier, money in motion?